Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you today about you and your business on today's program. Like usual, got a lot to talk about, but I do want to remind you that on Sunday at 11:30 a.m., my interview with U.S. Senator Rand Paul, his last interview before the Iowa caucuses, will be on the Biz TV network. We just taped it and looking forward to airing it. That, again, is this Sunday, 11:30 a.m. on the Biz TV network. If you want to learn more how to watch it, you can watch it. It's in 1/3 of the homes around the country, but you can watch it online live as it's aired by just checking out priceofbusiness.com. You'll get the information you need to do it. That's 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, by the way, 10:30 here in Houston. Chris Kidd, he's a regular contributor, has been for quite a while, helping people navigate through financial issues. Sometimes we do great guests. Some of the finest interviews we've done over the last couple of years have been with Chris Kidd and his guests, in entertainment and sports. It's been a lot of fun, and looking forward to continuing those here in 2016. But also, I've really enjoyed our conversations where you talk about money issues with individuals to address their specific financial concerns. And Chris Kidd, he's a coach. He's a financial coach. And not a traditional financial advisor that he wouldn't describe himself as that. He's a coach. He helps people navigate to become good financial decision makers themselves rather than having just the crutch of an advisor and just hoping that things work out well. And I think that's so needed in our financial culture today. Chris Kidd can be found at chriskidd.com. That's KIDD.com. We've got great articles by him over at USAToReview.com. Chris, as always, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be on.
Tell us what you got as far as your content for today. I think it's a very, very timely topic.
Well, as you know, we're in the first month of the year, so in January usually is when people are setting New Year's resolutions. And every year the top two or three are the exact same. One is to lose weight or to get in better shape physically, and the other one is to get in better shape financially. And then I think maybe the third of the top three might be like to quit smoking or something. But the top two are always to get in physical shape or financial shape.
Yep, absolutely. And sad thing about those resolutions is that they usually fail over and over
usually
again.
Within less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks, the majority of them have already fallen off the wagon. I think it's like 80 or 90% done by March or something like that. It's really horrific. And so more power to you in helping people do just that. So I think, people love the holidays. They love to spend. They love to get presents, of course. But a lot of people love to give presents, and they almost get a high from it. And like some highs, you can feel a hangover after you're done, and I think a lot of people are feeling a hangover today.
Yeah, we all enjoy, giving gifts to, our kids and family and friends and stuff over Christmas, but a lot of times what ends up happening is, we run out of that December money, so we borrow from January and maybe even February, and certainly if it's put on a credit card, then it ends up oftentimes over interest costing a whole lot more money and a lot more stress. So rather than that joy and the good feeling that we get on Christmas morning, it kind of turns into a nightmare a little bit later on, and it stresses us out. So I really like to help people solve those issues ahead of time so that they don't run into that before. And also, we need to make sure that we're not getting our sense of self-worth from our money and what we're able to do, because your self-worth should come from who you are, not necessarily what you have.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what people should be thinking about for future things, be it Christmas or birthdays or that type of thing, before we get to dealing with rectifying the problem now. It seems a little backwards, but, there's a cycle here. It's a vicious cycle where people kind of just have reckless abandonment rather than, a more logical approach to these things. So how do you suggest people handle the holidays when it comes to spending and, in advance, handle those birthdays in advance?
Well, one of the things I recommend is, having some sort of a budget, which a lot of people think budgets are bad and mean and it tells you what you can't do, but rather rather than telling you what you can't do, it tells you, well, this is what you can do, and don't feel bad about this because this is your money to spend and to do things with. It's just when we decide to ignore that and then get out of hand. I like to prepare in advance for stuff. One of the things I'm always telling my clients is if things are going great right now, either they're paying off debt or they may be at a point where they're out of debt. I always ask them, stuff, what little things could possibly come up. Do you have a birthday coming up? Is there, some sort of event or something coming up where you need to put aside some money to do, something for someone? How's your car situation? When's the last time that you had your car serviced? How's the tires? When's the last time that you had new tires on your car? How many miles do the current tires have? What little things could come up? Because, we always, anybody who's driven a car very long knows that, there's little things that come up, whether it's a tire that needs to be replaced, whether it's a service that, oh, wow, there's $600 to $1,000 just, gone just like that. So I like to try to prepare for that in advance and have either separate accounts or, put money aside for emergency situations, for, gifts and stuff, for whatever it is that they're planning on.
Yeah. Talk a little bit, and travel as well. People go on vacations and they're supposed to be fun, and then they come back and, wow, I spent how much? And so they end up feeling like they ripped themselves off in the process. Talk a little bit now, okay, the party's over, the hangover is setting in. What should people start doing?
Well, the first thing that I would start doing is certainly everybody wants to get in better shape financially. So often, what was it, Einstein that said about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. If you've done this over and over and over and you're not getting the results, find somebody to help keep you accountable. Whether it's a coach like myself, whether it's an advisor that you have, whether maybe it's just a close friend or family member. I always say not your spouse because that ends up turning into a bad situation usually. So somebody other than your spouse if you're married. And accountability is so important when it comes to making big changes like that because you need someone there to keep you on track. It's very difficult for somebody just to go cold turkey and make a huge change all on their own. I say that, teams are so important, and we have teams in everything that we do, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a business team, whether it's in, managing investments or even just your personal finances. So being accountable to someone and having them help you stay on track is probably the best thing that anyone could do for the first step.
What do you think about 12-step programs like Debtors Anonymous and even Earners Anonymous, because sometimes it's a cash flow problem? What do you think about groups like that?
Yeah, I support anything that will help the person or the individual make that change that they're trying to make, and certainly accountability to an individual or to a group is certainly key, because when you don't have somebody that you're accountable to, normally that's when people start getting off track.
Yeah, it's interesting from an analogy perspective because we talked about being hungover, right? Like kind of like an alcohol hungover, and I think there's a lot of analogy there. I think there's a lot of powerlessness and unmanageability and a lot of the same language that, people use in 12 steps when it comes around money.
Yeah, absolutely. It is like a drug in a lot of situations, and really a lot of it all stems back to some sort of emotional need or void, or some kind of emotional conditioning. We a lot of times will spend money unknowingly because we're trying to fill some thing in our life that we haven't identified yet, and that's another thing to figure out through this whole process.
Yep, got to wrap it up with that. Always enjoy talking to you. We went way over, but it was well worth it. With Chris Kidd. Chris Kidd is easy to find. chriskidd, KIDD.com. And I hope you provide an article to accompany this audio, and we'll be featuring it over at usdailyreview.com. For this on The Price of Business.